Mm-hmm. Freedom, freedom. That's what we're talking about today.
Fair enough. Hello, folks. I'm Joe Wesley.
Good morning, Lizzy Gabor here.
Thank you for signing in a little bit early for those who are visiting us not for the first time, perhaps, or for the first time. We start at 8 o'clock, but we get early start to give you some background chatter of what's going on. Lizzy is sharing her music of the moment, of the morning, yes.
Yes, all about freedom.
All about freedom. And a little bit of a commercial break. Again, thank you for joining us, folks. And the concept here is before I say anything else, remember to look at us through YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. If you do it through YouTube, remember you please sign in because we want to hear your comments in either instance and your share and your questions. The concept here is Lizzy is a mindfulness coach, a yoga certified instructor, and amongst other things. I'm still trying to keep up to what she does. And I'm a left brain kind of guy. And what do I mean by that? Well, I understand the intellectually the concept of mindfulness, but because if you get it together, I'll say it like that, life will be better also, more likely than not. The challenge I have is I get the sense is at some point I'll say, well, Joe, be mindful, make a decision, act on it, and it happens. And the first time I heard her say that, when I say her, I mean Lizzy, I tried that on my wife. I like filet mignon. So I sat the night before and all Saturday morning, putting my head in my hands and say, filet mignon. My wife is going to cook filet mignon. And I've got the seasoning aside, I got the salad already. Nothing happens. So it's got to be more than deciding it and then making it happen. So we're working on micro subjects. This subject block is clutter or to declutter, I guess a better way to say it. And the topic is, I got to write this down because it's just not intuitive for me, kind of that carrying your baggage. Do you want to do that or just spring clean it to make yourself a better person? Now I'm going to ask, I usually start off with a dialogue. I'm going to ask Lizzy a question this time along some others. And I understand you're doing staging for your home, if I heard correctly.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and the concept is, I hadn't heard of this phrase before like 6 months ago. So if you're going to sell your home, if I'm correct on that, what you want to do is to make your house environment letter perfect. So people will say, I want to buy this place. I mean, there's no disarray, everything's spanking clean. Is that the concept of staging in part to make it more marketable?
Yes, for sure. And also to really take away kind of all of the personal things that you have in your home so that people can see themselves on the walls and see themselves in without feeling like they're in your bedroom,
Fair enough. So we're talking a style of declutter here, folks. Now here's where I lose it. At some point, and Lizzy and I were talking the other day, not about this topic now because we don't rehearse, but and I've had this before myself, not about her, but we do house cleaning sometimes. It is phenomenal. We got space. We don't have to walk sideways or find a little niche to put something on the table. This is fantastic. We feel good about it until 5 days later and it's back to where it was before. So I kind of laughed at Lizzy with Lizzy, said, boy, we're going to keep like this forever. And I'm saying, really?
Right.
So the question is decluttering. We carry our baggage. I say, really, we carry them like our heirlooms. That we may declutter at some point. I'm a two-part question. First off, is it doable? And if it's doable, does it last? I mean, are we committed as human beings to be cluttered in our lives? So I'm saying a lot of things in one breath. I'm going to shut up for a moment and see what I'm hearing here.
Um, yeah, you said a lot, a lot. I mean, I think what we were talking about, yeah, is how difficult it is to have to keep that maintenance of keeping your home or your home decluttered. But it's a similar thing is where I want to go to is more about your emotional clutter. Is like
Or
each day, can you like wash off the day, and what when people get tripped up is, we all have a bad day and things happen and say, we don't get to clean up that day or whatever.
mhm.
We go to sleep, we get a good night's sleep, and we wake up the next day and we can start anew. But what happens with a lot of people is they get stuck in that bad day, or and they start ruminating about the bad day, and
Mm-hmm.
every day going forward they're still in that feeling of the bad day, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where it becomes this baggage. And it literally, I mean, people describe it to me as it's like a weight. It's like they're literally weighted down by, whatever this past experience was, whatever this, heartbreak was, or loss of a job. I mean, it could mean boss. It could be anything, but whatever it is, that's just you can't close the door on, and it's just always in your face, in your face, in your face, and affecting you. And so you bring it into every other relationship, and that's where it's where what I want to talk about is where when you can figure out. And again, mindfulness is really good for putting down that burden, you
Mm-hmm.
know, releasing the brakes. Like I say, women, a lot of women, and a lot of women I work with, and I know I was one. I mean, you carry around that psychological baggage,
Mm-hmm.
and it just keeps you. It's like you can't release the brake. It's like you're going through life with your emergency brake on,
Well,
and
what comes to my mind is like wearing an albatross around your neck, this heavy weight, like a heavy, ugly necklace. I guess I'll say it like that. But it takes some effort to reach for it and lift it up over your head because it's a heavy thing you're carrying around with you. So sometimes
I
there's a
like to think of it more as a backpack, because then you can
okay,
just
I like
slide
that.
it off. But when it gets too heavy, you can just let it go. And again, the invitation.
Here's where I disagree. Here's where I get confused, folks.
Mhm.
She says just let it go. What comes to my mind, well, I got to find the correct straps. It's like getting out of my seatbelt. Find the click and make sure it's over my shoulder and get it stretched out in that way. And sometimes it's so much effort that I
Mhm.
said, dang, maybe I'll just sit in the car for another 5 minutes.
Like or 5 years, or
Yeah,
or
or 5 years.
or a decade is what I say.
So my question always is to Lizzie is when she says, "Well, just do it." No, to me, I don't know how to just do it. Like turning on a light switch. I'm more of a rheostat guy. Are the little micro steps or baby steps one can kind of poke in that direction?
I think you got to let the feelings, whatever they are, run the course. You got to be able to, again, to figure out how to feel whatever you're feeling, let it move through you rather
Mm-hmm.
than just keeping it stuck. And that's about forgiving, maybe forgiving yourself, forgiving the other person, um, trying something different, just, and not to say it's easy, but just let it be what it was, let it be what it was. And, you know, maybe that person can't be there for you in the way that they were before, and you don't know why. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know why. But it is what it is. Be grateful for whatever it was. Maybe if it was good, and if it wasn't good, think about you're free from that now.
I hear
You know,
that.
people romanticize the whole thing in their mind, like they think about how great it was, and so again, they're trying to
Mm,
like paddle
mm,
upstream rather than just flow. I like to say, I was talking about this yesterday, flowing with the river. Like a lot
mm-hmm.
of us are just trying to swim upstream all the time. And that gets exhausting, and it causes a lot of problems. It causes
Mm-hmm.
problems with your relationships, causes problems with your health, and so if you just let go and started floating with the river of life as a metaphor, it's you could see how much you'll lighten up along the way. I mean, it is difficult to see when you're mired in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. Um,
I think a catalyst for me, perhaps. I hear what you're saying procedurally. I'm not sure yet the quantum leap to get to that point. But sometimes what comes to my mind is sometimes I just get tired of feeling tired. And I get tired of feeling worn down. They talk about alcoholism or any addiction. That might be a form of addiction, perhaps, when I think about it. That people latch on to something that maybe it's familiar. Maybe however uncomfortable it is, it's still more comfortable than the unknown. Perhaps whatever we justify with, and they say with drug addiction, you have to get to the point sometimes that you have to have a realization before you can act on it. You have to have a realization. This just isn't good for me,
mhm, that's
and that's
right.
kind of what I'm asking. That it's not like we have to simply decide to do it. That if you're getting tired of feeling
Right.
tired and feeling
Right.
worn out, might that be a stimulant?
Yeah. Again, and I mean, I always say, you can, you don't have to. You're not alone. Nobody's alone in that place where you're just talking about. And so, there is help out there also.
Mm-hmm.
So ask for help if you need it, and you could just basically just say, I need help. I want to start a new chapter of my life. This isn't working for me anymore. And there is help out there. There's a lot of coaches and mentors and help and recovery and all kinds of things out there to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
Well, that's a good point, and I hadn't that. I don't know. I've looked at Lizzy's website in the past. It's been a while, admittedly, and her LinkedIn account. Do you have anywhere posted for those who aren't quite yet ready to get the full value of what you offer? A listing of little help numbers and lines that people can refer to. Is that something that might be a concept?
I mean, sure, I don't have it on my website, but I know to refer people to. There's hotlines for everything. I mean,
Or maybe contact you directly, because part of it is people don't, maybe they don't have access, they don't have knowledge. Well, 800 number to what? So many of us maybe feel trapped or lost, perhaps better put, because we don't feel we have resources.
yes, and again, I think that's something that people create a story around, because first of all, there's a ton of free resources out there, but people need to be more resourceful when they
Mm-hmm.
think they don't have resources, because that's how you can find the money, you can find the time, you can find, I mean, I've seen it many times. I've
Mm-hmm.
done it myself. I've invested in things myself that I was like, there's no way I can afford this. And if there's a strong enough pull that it's like going to take me to a better place and evolving as a person and be a better everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'll find the money. I'll find the resources. I'll find some teacher who I'll work with for free for a little bit until I can come up with the money, or have a payment plan, or
Right.
I'm
I hear
working
that. I hear that.
a little bit, but yeah.
I'm going to come back on that. So for those of us who may have the option of monies, perhaps, and as you say, more people than not would have that option. I'm going to go back to the metaphor again of spring cleaning
Mm-hmm.
and the slippery slope syndrome. And I use the term that we treat our clutter like heirlooms, because somehow they come back into our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's in a figurative sense, but if I am in an environment that is overwhelming, or create the environment, or it envelops into me, however it may work, and maybe I do a refreshment of my life for the moment. But if I'm at danger of being humans that we are, treating these as heirlooms, are the little stopgaps. I'll use myself as an example. That I have a desk that tends to be more cluttered than that, on average.
Me too.
And sometimes I get inspired. Maybe every full moon or something. I don't know what makes it happen. And I'll do a cleaning, and I feel good about it. But within 3 or 4 days, I see the things start creeping back in my world again, and they never left my world. But what I find I have to do sometimes to maintain, it's never going to be 100% all the time. It takes more effort than that, I found, than
Well,
cleaning it
yeah,
up sometimes.
and it doesn't need to be, because there is no perfection, as we've already
And
discussed.
that's what I'm talking about here. So, but I do make it a point, more conscious point. I hate to use, maybe that's the mindfulness syndrome here, a more conscious point that when I get to a certain 30%, 40% low, nope, time to start putting this here, putting that there in a more conscious manner. Is that how one might treat their mindfulness state
Yeah, being
concept?
aware, again, it's like being aware of it, like and setting yourself up for success. So like, yeah, you kind of get to that tipping point. And I mean, it's the same thing with, I always think about it with food also, because like, you don't want to have the cookies right there when you open the fridge, or the
You're
cake
right.
staring at you. It's a much, so setting yourself up for success is, again, planning tomorrow, today. And in the case of cluttering, which I know, as I'm starting to have to pack my house for the move,
Mhm.
I've told my husband we have to plan, like, literally each corner when we're going to do it. I want it on a calendar so we can
Mm,
cross it off.
okay.
And so to have something in place, because left on our own devices, it's very hard. It's very,
Okay.
very
I
hard.
hear that, and that makes sense. And I see that the mindfulness concept then flows into it. I think to me, that's as a human, as a left brain kind of guy, that's kind of doable. Part of my mindfulness, you mentioned cookies and sweet stuff from the store bought. I deliberately, I have donuts. No matter if I get 6 donuts or 36 donuts, they do not last in my house more than a day and a half, because I'm convinced that they will go moldy within 24 hours of being in my household. So I'm doing my goodwill to not have the donuts go to waste. So I will eat them within a day and a half. And it gives me, and I know in my left leg, I'm going to get 85 pounds. My cholesterol is going to spike. I'm going to be pissed at myself. I understand all of that. Donuts do not last. So, what I have to do when I go shopping, my mindfulness state here, the
Right.
last thing I buy, when my cart is full with apples
Yep.
and oatmeal and whatnot, then I shop for dessert
Hmm.
item because now I need to get out of here. I need to get back, and so I'm making a chore to get something sweet. It's part of my mindfulness state to not buy those donuts. So maybe it takes
Yeah,
effort.
that's smart. But yeah, or even have a, I even like the idea of maybe, whatever, however often you eat the donuts, maybe once a week you actually drive to a donut place, you sit down, you make a ritual out of it. You eat one donut and
Oh
you
no, no, it's never gonna stop
enjoy it.
at one. Not even close.
Stuffing them at, at home and mindlessly. So again, how do you set yourself up for success? And I mean, just to go back to just circle back to the baggage thing, is it's just, we could there's always the invitation to stay like in resentment and bitterness, and but there's always also the invitation to like to let it go,
Mm-hmm.
and then have a friend. Like I mean, I had friends along the way when I was feeling really bad. They were like my jailbait. They would come and they'd pick me up, and we would go and do this thing, and so use your resources as far as the support systems that you have in place to
Mm-hmm.
help you,
Right.
and and see if you can just start to loosen that, like that backpack off, slip one sleeve off. And then I would love to share one more thing if possible,
Please go
because this
ahead.
it made me think of Bruce Springsteen. I'm a Jersey girl. Bruce
Okay.
Springsteen. This is his quote, which I love and I think is so fitting. So you can find your identity in the damage that's been done to you. You can find your identity in your wounds, your scars, in the places where you've been beat up, and you turn them into a medal. We all wear the things we survived with some honor, but the real honor is also in transcending them.
Ooh. Ooh, nice concept. Folks, we do try to close out with a pearl every time. That was a great pearl to share back along with your conclusions. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Folks, remember to share, remember to subscribe, remember to ask questions. I'm Joe Wesley.
Lizzie Gabor here. Thanks for joining us.
Stay mindful.
That's it.